What's poppin', my people? Hope you guys have all been doing well. Today, we are before unfamiliar sights.
What is this?
Currently, we are at the Piedmont Division Model Train Show in Cartersville, Georgia, accompanied with the good old Mazine crew, the gang, the twins, as one could say. And we honestly came here just to vibe. The other bros were finding ways to leak out their bank accounts, and I was here just filming all of the models and all the artifacts that they had littered around this area here. And if you know me, and if you know this channel, you may notice something. There is an absence of model trains, and that is for a reason.
Why?
I do not care for them at all.
This guy stinks!
And today, I'm going to explain why.
You're trash.
Yep, this production will be a video essay, a rant on why I think model trains are overrated and mid.
He's a liar!
Now, before I go further, let me just say right now, do not take this seriously, because I know I'm going to upset some of you people.
Me?
Yes, you people. I'm not telling you what you can and cannot like. If you like model trains, go ahead and go for it. All I'm saying is that as for me personally, this is not something I see myself pursuing. So do not take anything I say personally, because I know how some of y'all can get. All right, on to my argument. Before I go into why I'm not a fan of model trains, I gotta at least credit their affordances, and that is the fact that they give you a glimpse into the railroading world of the past. See, my friends, today, the modern railroad can really be described with doing more with less, and that's not talking about PSR, which is a whole nother discussion. There are much fewer locomotive models that are actually running out on the rails right now compared to the past, but they're able to do a lot more, which from an engineering and business perspective, that's good, because you have a smaller inventory of parts and you're able to maximize the units that you have without needing a lot. But for the videographer, for the creative person trackside, for the foamer, this has turned very boring. If you look at images of railroading from the past, it just looked a lot cooler. Paint schemes were definitely at their peak back then compared to now, and there were a lot more different models that you could find on different railroads, many of which were specific to a given railroad that you were on. And there was a time before we started getting into the dead era where a lot of these railroads had their power sent out all across the United States, including Atlanta. Oh my goodness, these images actually have me so depressed, bro. Do you see the power that is before your eyes?
Oh my God.
This is all in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. Like all the places that I visit when I'm going through Atlanta, that's where these images were taken maybe 20 or 30 something, 40 something years ago. Look at this junk, bro.
I can't believe this.
More SPSF motors, Norfolk and Western high hoods, Southern Pacific tunnel motors, Blue Bonnet Santa Fe, whatever this is. You know, this is at Tilford, like the same Tilford Bridge that sits next to the Norfolk Southern Rail fabrication plant. Look, that's the same signal in this image, and look what train went on those rails, bro.
Boy, shut it up.
Ridiculous work. And it just keeps going, bro. It just keeps going. And what do I see now? Gevos? C6Ms? Gevos and C6Ms? Like, bruh, where has this diversity gone to, man? And don't even get me started on steam, bro. Model railroads definitely provide a way for you to see some physical models of steam locomotives that no longer exist, because a lot of steam locomotives have been scrapped. And the opportunities to see steam across the United States are far and few in between. Yeah, you're gonna have to wait in a minute to see that footage. Anyways, now that I've gone over the good parts of model railroading, it's time for me to go fairer. One of my first reasons for not liking model railroads is just that it seems kind of boring. And when I say boring, I'm talking about when you're looking at a train in real life, you were looking at a 400,000 pound set of locomotives pulling potentially 2 to 3 miles of traffic, going maybe 40 or 50 miles per hour. And depending on the length of the train and the terrain that it's going over, you could be seeing trains going 70 miles per hour. Wow. Just the physics and the experience and just like noise and everything. It's a wonderful thing to witness. When I'm looking at a model train, I'm just looking at a toy. The trains are going so slow that you can't even hear the Doppler effect.
Sorry!
I mean, it's still there because that's just a physics principle, but it's going so slow. Most model trains, if you were to walk, you'd be going faster than a model train, so you can't even hear the Doppler. Where is the excitement when I'm looking at this? Where is the physical depth of these models? Where is the girth?
Whoa.
Where is the tonnage? I just found it to get pretty boring. Unless you have like a really cool layout, which as I'll discuss soon, is very hard to get to. I just don't really understand the appeal. I feel like I'd get bored very quickly. All right, point number 1 out of the way. Point number 2, unrealism. Now, I told you that modern railroads provide a way for you to go back into the past and definitely recreate scenes, many of which you won't ever see in real life ever again. The problem with model trains is that with their diversity and with how many different models are out there, some people have taken it upon themselves to make some rather interesting scenes.
What do you mean by that?
The most flagrant one that I found at this model railroad show was this one. Yo, what am I looking at?
What is that?
Why is this here? And don't worry, there's more. I am literally looking at a castle with a dragon sitting on top of it as a steam locomotive passes by a pair of Amtrak Siemens chargers that aren't even 4 years old in the real world. My brother in Christ, what is this? I understand some of this comes down to creativity, but I personally think that there's a limit, and when people start combining stuff in very outlandish ways, it just looks off to me. There are some scenes, however, that look very, very cool. I've seen some very impressive model railroad layouts in the past, and I can tell that they put a lot of time and effort into the hobby and creating the layout and acquiring the models. And let me emphasize, money. Yes, my friends, my final point, and the one that you cannot disagree with, is that model railroading is so expensive. Oh my goodness gracious. The most diabolical prices I have seen on some of these models, bro. This is just pure thievery. You mean to tell me I have to pay how much for these models? Now, Pete, I understand. Some of these models are very detailed. Like, the amount of work that some people put into these locomotives to try to replicate their real life counterparts is pretty impressive, I'm not gonna lie. But God forbid you ever catch me spending a band on a toy locomotive. Why on earth would I be paying $1,200 for a locomotive when I could just go out trackside and see? Yes, the glory, the goodness of a real train. Finally, we can see the depth of the engineering that has even led to the creation of model railroading in the first place. Currently, we are in downtown Cartersville, Georgia on the CS6 WNA subdivision, where we are actually getting jump scared by a CS6 intermodal train. I believe this was CS6 I-141. Regardless, we finally have a train.
Thank you.
And now I can get into the reasons why I believe that they are better. The first one being
girth and tonnage.
I think it is so cool to see a train rolling by. Once you stand next to these locomotives or have been inside them, you actually recognize, one, how complex they are, and two, how massive and heavy these things are. It truly is impressive how much force and tractive effort these locomotives produce to, one, even be able to move themselves so freely, and two, be able to move miles of freight through towns, over hills, over rivers, etc. And honestly, the more I see trains, the less I've cared about the paint. Of course, I'll always love a cool paint scheme, but I'm honestly just happy to see just the physics and just the massiveness of a train rolling by. I think the forcefulness of these trains rolling by truly is a sight to witness. I will give one more concession though in this argument, and that's the fact that with real trains, you do have to wait, and they can pop up very unexpectedly. Fortunately, sometimes you can be at the right place at the right time. See, when you have a model railroad, you have the trains right there. You can control when you want to see it, when you want to mess with the model and the environment and all that stuff. But when you're looking at a real train, you are at the mercy of the traffic that is on that line and the environment that you're in. You can't control the lighting, you can't control when a train pops up, and you cannot control what your scenery looks like. It is what it is. And that can get very, very burdensome, especially if you're waiting for hours at a given location and don't see anything. This is another scene y'all gonna have to wait a while to see. And my final point for why I think that real trains are better is that it's the real deal. It's not a scaled down sort of caricature of a locomotive. You are actually looking at the engineering, the real strength and power of a locomotive right before your eyes. And although, unlike model railroads, you can't control when the train gets there or what the scenery in your immediate environment looks like, that's what trips are for. Real trains can really get you out of the house and send you to some places and some very beautiful sights that you otherwise probably never would have seen.
Incredible.
And even though the diversity has died down, it still exists. And when you see the real deal looking also beautiful and colorful outside, it's a wonderful sight. Such as with this train, the final real one of today. CSX B820, ethanol empties coming out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, and heading up north to Bensenville, Illinois.
Hey, who's over there?
friends, there's my 2 cents on the debate. Like I said before, do not take this personally. I'm not saying anything bad about anyone who likes modern vertebrates or anything like that. I'm just saying my personal gripes that have made me personally not want to pursue the hobby like that for real. If you enjoy it, by all means, go on ahead. As for me personally, however, you can find me out trackside, seeing the real trains in action. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and as always, my friends, God bless. I will see you soon out on the high island.